Sorry, 1 minute. Thank you. Please put your hands together for my panelists once more. I tried to dodge this panel and give the responsibility to someone, but here I am anyway. Uh, the three of you create spaces for people to express their art, to do better with literature and arts in general. But I have to ask, in your context, and I want this answered by the three of you, what is a safe space to you in your context? We need more mics, please.
Can you guys hear me? So good afternoon. I'm usually used to being the one moderating, so it's a bit different for me. Um, Safe space for me means where I can and like be myself, where I'm able to be very comfortable, where I'll say things and I don't get judged, and I just feel very, very homely and comfortable.
All right. A safe space basically is where one can be real, where one can be free. Freedom is everything for me. So it's a place where you can just come and be yourself. No add-ons, no removals, just you, completely you, like the way God has made you to be. There, empty, without anything. That's basically what I think a safe space is. Um,
For me, I can say myself places where I can express the way I do, the way I play, and not what any other person may think I do. So places where I do my things according to my own ideas and a rotation without being bothered by anything else.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So, my question for you specifically, Sinan, is your book club, Rambling Thoughts, which is doing amazing, by the way, wonderful putting together community in Kaduna, has become a home for over 150 members, and that's really impressive. But what lessons, so this is a two-in-one question, what necessitated putting together Rambling Thoughts, and what lessons have you learned along the way?
To be honest, when I started Rambling Thoughts, it was just supposed to be for me and very few people. I remember the first time I had book club was at that house, and we just like 6 people. I was in a very bad place as of then, so I just wanted to be around people that read like me because there's a tag where you're called a nerd, and I don't think I'm a nerd because there are different sides of me. And as she said, I'm a content creator. So I wanted to be around people that read too, because our book club we have dialogues. So we talk about things that matter, things that are trending, things that are relating to like literature or what we read. So when I started book club, I didn't necessarily think of it as a safe space. I just wanted to have an environment where I would have conversations with people and read books. I didn't get your second question, please. What lessons? Um, yeah, so I tried to do it alone when I started. I didn't know it was going to grow this big. So I was graphic designer, content creator, I was doing everything. But now I'm learning to not do it alone. I remember when we got the branch at Robin Heights. By the way, it's 3 branches now. I tried to I try to do it all by myself. Like when we are called for stuff, it's always me. I've learned how to have a team and like tell them what to do.
So, young man, being an artist yourself, why do you think safe spaces are important?
Okay. So I started writing poetry at a very, very young age. If you've been to Jos, you'd understand that a whole lot of us, especially in my generation, a whole lot of us were homeschooled, like a whole lot, because we had like a whole lot of white people there in Jos. So the whole homeschooling idea was like a thing. Now coming up, it was just me and my mom. She was not home at the time, so it was just me and her. We were always reading, and writing, reading, and writing, reading, and writing. And when I started writing professionally, I was lucky to have a teacher of English who was always keeping me separately from every other person in school. She was biased and she showed everyone that, oh, I like this boy and I'm biased with him. So I go to the staff room during break. She buys me food and everything. Mrs. Inkiru, she's a professor in South Africa. She buys me food, keeps me in her office, and just keeps me there with her books and everything, just do what we want. So I've always been lucky to, from my mom to my teacher of English in secondary school, I've always been lucky to have that one person who sees that this person actually loves this thing that he's doing. So let me just provide him with all the resources, all the guidance that he might need to just be himself and all. And I had a father who just wanted me to become a doctor. So my
You
mom
are such
understood.
a good doctor. A doctor, actually.
He's veterinary medical doctor right now. So my mom understood that as, one, as much as I can't openly fight my husband based on what this boy wants to do, I can on my own part, just provide him with the safe space. And it was the same thing with my teacher of English. She wanted me to study literature. Let me tell you what she did. She switched my timetable. Yeah. So literature time. She had to find a way that when she had literature, So it provided me with these spaces, and that's why I'm able to do this thing that I'm able to do today. Studying veterinary medicine, you see a lot of people being surprised. How are you so good at spoken word poetry and you're still doing good in school? In science, because that's how important allowing this loss of goods. You create this space. A whole lot of people do not know that I can actually do these things. I can actually juggle a whole lot of these things. But you keep them in this place of seclusion, but you're able to discover those hidden things that are inside of them.
I think Amy, you should share with us what your safe space is about, what is created in Jos.
Okay, so in Jos, I mean, there are a whole lot of communities in Jos for creators. When I started out professionally as a spoken word artist, the first set of people I met were called Punchline Poetry Session, Punchline Poetry Society. And those guys were amazing. We had sessions at this place called Madagascar Shoes. And you just come, nobody knew anybody's name. Just came, people recited poetry, people were just doing their thing, and it was just good. We had people like the Leon, the Rudolph, Joss, we were having Shaka Tower, then we had EB Art Organization. I think Joss has a whole lot of these communities, and it was all of us, the same set of people, but doing different things in different spaces. You know, earlier when we started out, the MI was still in George, then Jesse Jacks was still there. So you go to the basketball court, and you find people rapping on the side, playing basketball and all of that. And we enjoyed it. Not performing or watch. And when it was our own turn, we came around, watched us do our own thing, and the left. So we have currently I'm working with custodians of African literature. Cool. So what we do is we create just like our name stands, custodians of African literature. So we create a whole lot of archiving African literature as the years go by. we hold open mics, we do socially conscious projects. So we're trying to bring artists who are trying to use their creativity to push socially conscious things around. So we do a whole lot of that. So you see that open mics are thematic every month. We have people who are interested in these things, write poems and come and perform them.
Wow, thank you very much. And just piggybacking off that, my question for you, Dr. Yahuza, is your work is on museums and basically trying to reclaim the history of Africa. And I feel like that's a very important thing, like reclaiming our space, reclaiming all our history. Tell us a bit more about what you do and why it's important.
Okay. This started when on my first year in university. I wanted to study law, but unfortunately, in our university that time, the agency stopped Lagos State University from offering law courses. Maybe it will be arbitration issue. So when we went there, they asked me to either stop, write another jam next year to come in, where I studied very hard to get that jam. I think I scored, was it around 250? At that time in Yobe State, for someone to read or to get that school is taking bigger. So I think twice that. What if I stay next year, write again and I fail? So I have no option that time but to choose between either history or English language. So because I love history in my Islamic classes, that's why I went there. And then the Global Literary Society. And I've been thinking, what's something new do we have, or do we have to make it better? Because I realized at that time that almost all the states we're bothering have their own, even if the societies are not directly called different society, they are connected. So I've seen some polls. I called someone and I asked him about it. He was like, "Guy, you cannot don't know this is not going to work." Because they received thousands of applications for a single position, and they made it clear that they're selecting only 6 young scholars, only 6. And I think I sent mine the day they closed it. But thank God, they closed it before 12 in the night. And I sent mine exactly around 11:50 something. So we have to argue on that email that they closed when I sent, and I was like, no, there was few minutes remaining when I said it. And after all, they invited me, and I got selected to the CPD. And that's what opened my mind to it. So I posted to Angela Bentley's Museum of Natural History, which is in Ile-Ife. And instantly, there are some archaeological projects that are going on there. So as I do my research in the museum, I get to know the people that are participating in that archaeological things. I'm always think, was Africa this backward thousands, millions of years ago? Because I know we were not like this. We were told, I read in history, but there were no evidence to our ancestors are genus just like any other civilization on the world. That's why I picked my interest in the Iboloko glass bead technology. So we learned another German traced where Africans use beads. I don't know whether somebody else noticed. There isn't any African culture or ethnic group that has no connection with beads. You see Fulani wearing a kind of beads. You have yours, yeah. So it was just like dollars that time. If you're traveling towards the Trans-Saharan trade, you have to get as much beads as possible for you to take it there. So we've traced the system, and with the Eurocentric perspective, and even Nigerian academies have been writing about it. There was connection between Ile-Ife and the Yangtze Valley, which is far something unrealistic. But because it hadn't been proved, That's why we picked that one. Thanks to my two supervisors, we excavated the area, although the excavation started around 2015. And we found some samples of glasses. And at the end, we found places there, and a lot of things, more than 15,000 artifacts were discovered there. And when they date it predates even the civilization, it predates the Mesopotamian civilization of glass. This is to tell you that our fathers produced glass in Ife, here in Nigeria. And that glass was just like we have the Central Bank of Nigeria. At that time, Ile Ife was serving as the central bank of the whole of Africa. This is something that breaks hundreds of Eurocentric perspectives that Africa was backward, just like this. Yeah. But linking my own literary background with the museum gives me, it adds more curiosity in me to dig, to know more about it. And I've started asking if this was produced in Ife and I'm Karuri by Shara. Come back and I see that the beat itself is part of the Ghanaian culture. You cannot take a bride to a room, married after the wedding, until she's wearing a kind of bead. So what's the connection between these beads and where the beads is produced? So that's where it gets a little bit more complicated and open gaps for broader research. People like me put their heads. Make sure we find something that we'll be proud of. And at the end, just recently, let me use this medium to congratulate myself. Some of you were there when we have been struggling for me to put the international exhibition of the glass-based technology. I think so far is the biggest exhibition of glass-based technology in the whole of Africa. I did it and I presented it, supported by the Goethe Institute.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Congratulations. So we have two artists who are building safe spaces, literally, and then you are reclaiming space that our ancestors have been forced to leave behind. I remember reading somewhere that the whole concept of the bank in Harry Potter, the goblet, what are they called? Anyway, it's somewhere in Africa, and I'm like, they had that much structure and architecture long before we were colonized, and yet we behave as though Africa was backwards all along. I'm going to throw questions, give the mic to the audience so that we can have some questions, because we do have a short of time. I'm so sorry. Ahmed, let me see who has questions for our panelists. Questions? Really, no one? Oh.
My question goes directly to Young Man, saying you spoke about your safe space as a space where you will just be alone, be natural, be yourself, just the way God created you without, and I interpret that as you being yourself without any form of restriction. Don't you think without some restriction you can turn into something harmful? That's the question.
Okay, anyone else has a question for my panelists? Wait.
Okay, my question is kind of layering on what you just said. How do you ensure confidentiality in your space? Thank you.
I think that question is for and I was actually coming, that was my question, especially with technology and the need to stream stuff also. So maybe Young Lan, your answer, then all three would answer the confidentiality and privacy question.
Um, I genuinely want to believe that, and I'll answer from a personal point of view now. I genuinely want to believe that no man is an island, first and foremost. We all came from somewhere. And because we come from families, right? It is either you're breaking out of something, and even if you're breaking out of that thing, you get shaped from that particular thing. So ensuring that there are restrictions so you don't become, this is a very, very tricky question. Very, very tricky one. There are already limits. You know what you're looking for. The fact that I want solace, the fact that I want my tribe or a group of people that we think alike simply means that there is something that I am heading for, right? Like this is what I am looking for. It's not like I want to be distracted with this, I want to be distracted with that. I am here for the sole purpose of trying to find a particular thing, or trying to discover myself, or trying to find myself. So it means that every other single thing that comes into that place is going to be a distraction. So the probability of going off limit is even reduced as it is, because why I am there in the first place is to actually deal with all of these things, right? I also want to honestly believe, we're having this conversation on Facebook this morning with some of my friends. I genuinely want to believe that every time I go to the poetry festival and the vendors outside leave their books and they go to eat and they go to eat everything. Exactly. So that's the kind of, that is what your safe space means. It means that you would not go off limits in the sense that you're asking, that you turn into that bad thing, that sort of thing that people fear. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, you're trying to get to that place of you are safe. You yourself is a safe space for yourself, but not just for yourself, for others. So the probability that you're going to go off the hook and become something is, I think it's almost zero at that point.